Hey everyone, it's Bad Boogle, and I am really glad to be back here with another video. I'll save any distractions for the end of the video, and instead of getting to those, let's just jump right into it. Choking under pressure. That's what the topic is for this video. I like to think of choking under pressure as having four key components. An easy or doable skill, something that's well within your ability. Something that you would expect to perform without any hiccups and without any real challenge. The perception of pressure, performance anxiety, and failure to perform. So you've got the easy or doable skill, perception of pressure, performance anxiety, and the inability to complete the task successfully. In shorter words, performance anxiety is getting in the way of your performance for something that you would normally have no trouble with.
It's weird. What do I do with my arms? I've never thought about that before. Is it this? Or, if I may, this? Maybe I should just hold something. Okay, yeah, this feels more natural. Is that right? Yeah?
So in situations like this where we're under pressure, we want to succeed rather than fail, obviously. This is the point where we have to ask ourselves what's happening. Why is anxiety getting in the way of performance, and how does that work? Once that's out of the way, we can look at what might be helpful for choking under pressure. Lucky for us, all of the theories about choking under pressure boil down to one thing: attention or focus. These then are divided between the distraction theories and the explicit monitoring or self-focus theories. So, starting with the distraction theories, we're going to use the analogy of money instead of attention. So you only have so much money, and you've got to spend it wisely. And what happens with the distraction theories is that unintentionally or subconsciously, your attention or your money is being spent on these other things. The end result being that you don't have enough left over for the performance that you need. Essentially, it's like playing with your hands tied behind your back.
Saber.
Oh, it's Saber.
Yes.
Of course. Saber.
Good. Take it away, guys.
This is gonna be a good day. But Dunder Mifflin and Sabre.
Saber.
It's Saber. Say it, Dunder Mifflin and Saber.
Dunder Mifflin is a part of Sabre.
Say yeah. Dunder Mifflin is a part of
Dunder
Saber.
Mifflin is a part of Sabre.
You sure it's Saber?
And then on the other hand, there are the explicit monitoring or self-focus theories. And this is what Bylock calls paralysis by analysis. It's when your attention ends up interfering with what's already become automatic. When it comes to the more advanced and technical moves or skills, there are tons of little parts that have become automated. And while you can pay conscious attention to one or two of these little things, there are a bunch of tiny things going on at the same time, and they all are happening in a coordinated fashion. And this can happen in no other way than an automatic way. It's been compared to asking a millipede how it walks. So you can imagine asking that, and then if you're a millipede and you've got, 100 legs or whatever it is, and you have to think about how each one individually moves, but while you're trying to go, there's just way too many tiny movements to think about it. It's got to be something that's become automated over time if it's supposed to happen with any degree of speed. So those are the two big ideas behind choking. There's this idea that maybe you don't have enough resources because when you're worried, they're being used for other things, or you might be interfering with what's already become automatic. So your worrying is changing how you pay attention to stuff, and you end up paying attention to your step-by-step process, and you mess it up. So, now that we've looked at what choking is and what causes it, or how it works, we can look at what we can do about it, or the interventions recommended by other professionals. So here we are at the last section of the video, interventions. And I've got this split into two different things. There are active interventions and there are preventative interventions. The active interventions are stuff you can do during your gameplay or performance, and the preventative ones are stuff you can do beforehand. So, starting with the active interventions, you can direct your attention to external goals or to controllable factors. A lot of the time, athletes will direct their attention inward towards the step-by-step process of doing whatever motions or movements they're trying to do. Or perhaps it'll shift to the crowd and thinking of how they might disappoint their fans or whatever the implications might be of their failure. So this intervention is pretty straightforward. Instead of focusing on that, try and drag your attention back to the external goal that you're trying to accomplish. So like either looking at the net or where you're trying to land or things of that nature. Aside from that, there is one more active intervention, splitting the attention. I know I said earlier sometimes athletes will focus internally and that an external focus or a focus on the external goal can help this, but some studies have found that athletes focusing on their, for instance, pinky toe can help them from obsessing on that step-by-step process that goes along with their expert performance. Then, on the other hand, there are the preventative interventions. The first of these I have listed is to practice under pressure. Train like you fight. This one's really straightforward, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. The next is a pre-performance routine. So, this can be a simple mantra or a simple set of actions that you do, but you do them before a competition or when you know you're going to be under a lot of pressure. This helps athletes stay grounded and in the present moment, which brings us to the next one, mindfulness training, which also helps athletes stay grounded and in the moment. It helps them control their attention and stay present. And last on the list, even though I have a little star by it, is working memory training. And there's a star by it because recently it's come to my attention in some recent research that working memory has been associated with choking under pressure. More specifically, higher working memory has been positively correlated with choking under pressure. So it seems that when you have high working memory, you're more likely to choke under pressure. However, that's definitely not to say that all people with high working memory have a weaker ability to control their attention or are always more susceptible to choking under pressure. It's just a sort of statistical suggestion, and I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. The reason I do put working memory training here is because if you recall in the last video I did on choking under pressure, we talked about working memory theory and how it's related to processing efficiency theory and attentional control theory. And if you want to go and look back at that, there is a link in the description or an icon popping up right now if I can manage that. But working memory is directly tied into attentional control. So some people have thought it stands to reason that a boost in working memory should help attentional control. And in that previous video, we looked at studies that suggested working memory training can help with children that have attentional deficit disorder. So it looks like it can help with attention. There are just some questions around the issue that definitely still need to be answered. Okay, now let's review. We went over what choking is and its 4 components. We went over how choking works and 2 theories behind it. There were the distraction theories and the self-focus theories. And then we went over what you can do, or the interventions. Under the active interventions, there was external focus, or focusing on controllable factors, as well as splitting the attention. Then in the preventative category, there was practicing under pressure, having a pre-performance routine, mindfulness training, and maybe working memory training. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. If you like the content and want to support more videos, you can donate through Patreon. And I'd also like to take this chance, of course, to thank my patrons. Really, I've had a rough go of things lately, but the community here has always been supportive and helpful, so thank you guys. For more content and updates, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, and join my Discord. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. Peace.
Okay, yeah, this feels more natural. Is that right?